Welcome to tonight's call, the Team Butterfly Effect All Hands call. It is Monday, August 24th. This is going to be our last Monday night for a while for team calls. I apologize to those of you who work days and who can't be on during the afternoon, but starting next week, we'll move to Fridays at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I hope those of you who can squeeze it in or make it a priority to be there, I would love to see your faces. Let's see, we won't start the new VIP call schedule until September, so that will be, our first call will be the second Wednesday evening. Yeah, second Wednesday evening of September. So that will start then. So guys, we're down to the last week of the Team Cup. I hope you're pulling your weight. This is just the main thing I want you to contemplate. I know once it gets down to the last leg, and if you don't have any points on the board, it's easy to say, "I'll screw it." I don't have any points now. Why do I even keep going? Why do I even consider keep pushing through? Because you know what? I've seen people gone from 0 to 10 in 2 days. It is totally doable and happening, especially if you've been planting the seeds and if you've been doing the invites the whole time. So that's why they say the fortune is in the follow-up. Is literally it's time to just start following up with every single person that you have gotten any sort of an interest from. And this is my best recommendation, is get them on the phone. I know it's so tiring and so frustrating sometimes when it's hard to coordinate with people, but make it a priority. Guys, you're going to save so much time by just getting on the phone and spending 30 minutes answering the people's final burning questions and then talking them through purchasing their challenge pack instead of going back and forth for a couple more days, okay, on the computer. And also just remember, guys, even if you don't hit the goal, I mean, I know some of us are easy to be like, "Oh, screw it. I'm going to let everybody down anyway, so might as well just give up." But you're not going to be letting everybody down, especially if you know you put in your best effort. The only person you're going to be letting down is yourself, as if you didn't do what you said you were going to do. So I highly encourage you to do that. So I'm going to get off my horse on that one. But today, we're actually doing some personal development together. So I want you to go get a pen and a paper, or a pencil and a paper. So I'll give the people that are live an opportunity to get something to write with if you haven't already. If you journal, I highly recommend doing this in your journal instead of just in your regular notebook. But if you don't journal, whatever you have in front of you will highly suffice. Because what we're going to be doing tonight is, if you've been a coach with me for a while, maybe you've done this several times, but it's important to do this often because life changes. And when life changes, so do our priorities. So today we're actually going to be talking about priorities and our to-do lists, and is basically time management throughout the day. And not time management as far as time blocking. I posted a call on that earlier today that for those of you who are having trouble getting your power hour done, to help out with that. However, what do you do during your time? Well, you got to know your priorities. How do you decide what you're going to do when? You got to know your priorities. So there's not going to be a lot of information in tonight's call. We're actually going to do the work. So I know, Brett, you just got on the phone, so I hope you have a pen and paper, because we're actually doing some personal development with each other today. So if you don't have a pen and paper, go ahead and get one. That's what I tell you. And Brett, I know you journal, so I would highly recommend you getting your journal, okay, to have this in instead of just a regular pen and paper, because this is something that it's fun to go back on in your journal and later on times. So this information literally comes exactly from the Chalene Johnson 30-day push. So if you want to go through this in more detail, please go to www.30, the number. So it's not spelled THIRTY. It's the number. So 30daypush.com. And this is Chalene's freemium. So literally you can enter in your name and email address, and it will literally just send it to you. And you'll get an email every day for 30 days that will talk you through her process of teaching you how to set your priorities and starting to make a to-do list, because that's how we stay productive human beings. So Before you can start making a to-do list or know what you're going to do, you got to know what your priorities are. And Shalene highly recommends that you rate them. So let's talk real quick the difference between priorities and intrinsic priorities, because that's really important in this, guys. So like priorities are what are important to you. But intrinsic priorities are things that are important to you that you don't need accountability for. Okay? So say, for example, like your priorities might be family, friends, and faith. Okay, so I'm just throwing those out there. Family, friends, and faith. Pretend. Okay, pretend those were yours. But pretend you are a type of person without thinking about it. You get up and read your Bible in the morning, or you get up and you pray, and you go to church every Sunday, and you read with your kids from their Bible at night, and like doing your faith is not something you have to think about or something that you have to like it would never be something you would leave off your list for the day of things that you would do. That is an intrinsic priority, and that is not something I want you to list today. Okay, so we're writing our priorities down, our top 3, based on what we need accountability for. So the reason why I say this, so say for example, my family is my number 1 priority. But some of you might think, well, Aubrey, wouldn't that be your intrinsic priority? Why would you have to list that? Well, because honestly, I'm a workaholic by nature. I mean, if you haven't noticed, I have an addictive personality. I'm kind of like hot or cold. And for me, I can get lost in work. I can sit down to work and the day can go by. Like I could put on a movie upstairs for my kids and tell my boys to go up and play video games, and the day will go by and I'll never said 2 words to them. It's not that I don't love them. I love them. But I get lost in work. It's a drug for me. It's a drug. So I have to put my family first because they are first, and I have to be accountable to that, because other things, even though they're not as important, could somehow slip higher on the list. Okay? So I want you to think of your top 3 priorities, and I want you to give them a rank. No lie. Okay? I want you to give them a rank. So I want you to be thinking about this, and I'm going to be sharing with you what my priorities are, not because my priorities should be your priorities, but I want you to hear my thinking process through them, so it might help you in yours. So say for example, so up until about 6 months ago, my top priority was family, and then it was Dharma. In yogic philosophy, Dharma is the idea that we were all born for a reason. Okay, and your Dharma is the reason you were born. Okay, and so my Dharma was my second priority, and then financial freedom was my third. Okay, so that was before, but I have recently changed them because my family needs, even though my Dharma is so freaking important for me, I flip-flop them because my family needs financial freedom to be higher on the list for me, because let's just face it, living in debt is stressful, right? So it will be easier for me to do those other things with an open heart and less stress and do my Dharma to the better of my ability when I'm not worried about finances. Okay, so that's the reason why they're in the order for me. If you're new to working out, maybe your fitness and maybe your health. Have you noticed my health and my fitness and my well-being and my nutrition? None of that is even in my top 3 because that's intrinsic for me now. You know, nutrition and working out every day and yoga has been in my daily life for 13 years. I don't even have to think about it. Like going to my mat is like brushing my teeth. But is that for you? And it's okay if it's not for you. So then once you give them a ranking and have them there, you need to give them an action item or an action statement. What does that mean to you? So I'm going to share with you my 3 action statements just so you get an idea. and I'm going to ramble them off because I write this down every Monday. Guys, I write this down in my journal every Monday just to remind myself that they haven't changed, or maybe to reevaluate, maybe they need to change. So my number one priority is my family, and this is my statement that I say. I am engaged in the daily life, health, and well-being of my immediate family. That's my action item statement. I mean, because, you know, I could sit and play games with my kids all day, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be healthy, because they don't have, I'm play games with them all day, but then drive through the drive-through. You know, that's not my way of showing love, right? So I'm engaged in the health, well-being, and daily lives of my immediate family. That's my number one statement. That doesn't need to be yours. What does it mean to you? I'll give you a little bit to think. And then my second priority is currently financial freedom. So, and this is I've been was reading the book You're a Badass, and one of the statements in there that I absolutely love, that's really been hitting home with me recently. She says the universe loves details. Okay, so when I say financial freedom, well, what the heck does that mean to me? It means something different to everybody, right? So to me, what financial freedom means is we are able to live a debt-free life where we are able to enjoy all of the pleasures we want to indulge in our daily lives, and including regular yearly travel and being able to provide a quality education for our children. So that is what it means to you. What does your number two mean to you? Give it an action statement if you haven't already. And I see Kitty there as I have a gumball in my lap. That's so cute. He's all curled up. Okay, so I hope you're giving your number two an action statement. And then number three, for me personally, is my dharma, which is my my purpose. And you're going to laugh. I'm being very vulnerable, and I share with you really, truly what I believe. I continue to spread the fairy dust of positivity, joy, and consciousness throughout my work and play. It's just to remind myself that I'm here to spread positive energy to anyone and everyone that I'm around. Okay, because I know that that's my purpose. So give those three your action statements. And then after that, guys, what's next? You got to figure out how you're going to spend your time. So based on what's there, how do you block it? So when you look at your day, when you look at your time, what have you made commitments to? What have you made priorities to? So we're not going to go through time blocking today. That's another whole call, and we could spend an hour on that, or we could spend 30 minutes on that easy. But once you figure out how you're going to build your day, then what's next to stay productive? You got to have a to-do list. Guys, if you're not keeping and making a to-do list daily, you've got to do it. And here's the thing, though, that's the most critical, is you can't just have one master list. One master list is so freaking overwhelming that it's so easy to go through and just pick the things off that are just going to take like 5 minutes that are easy to cross off the list, right? So what Shalene suggests is whenever you can, once a week, once a month, once a day, whenever you do a brain dump, anything and everything that you feel like you need to do or you need to get done at some point in time, whether it's priority right now or not, put on the to do sometime list, okay, or to do soon list. And then you break it down into to do this week. And then you have a third list of to do today. And Shalene calls it the list of must be done today or someone dies. That's what she calls it. Like she jokes around and says, you don't put anything on your to-do list for today unless it has to be done today. Because let's just face it, the list is a million miles long, right? All of our to-do lists are a million miles long. We're never gonna get it all done. So what has to be done today? And what she recommends is to pick off your to-do this week list, pick 3 things. And that's it. 3 things every day. And that's it. Okay? So from those 3 things, right, guys, you got to prioritize those again too, right? What's the most important one? What's the most important one? Not the one that's going to take the least amount of time. Not the one that's going to take the least amount of time. What is the most important one? And do that first. You ever heard of the book? It's a personal development book I read probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, called Eat That Frog. And the idea is if you had this big, ugly, nasty frog and someone told you you had to eat it today, it would go down easier right when you woke up in the morning than at the end of the day. Because what's going to happen? You're going to sit and you're going to think all day long, oh my God, I got to eat that frog. Oh my God, I've got to eat that frog. How am I going to eat that frog? I don't know what I'm going to do to eat that frog. That frog's going to taste so disgusting. I'm going to spit it out. I'm not going to like it. Like you're going to stress about that frog all day long, and to where you're going to end up using so much energy thinking about that frog when you could have just crossed it off the list earlier in the day. Right? So in the order of like really being productive and managing our time, first we got to know what's important, right? And then we got to avoid the urge to overwhelm ourselves and be realistic, because we only have so much time in the day. Because I don't know about you, right? But you spend time blocking, right? And like after I got my whole world time blocked for a week, and then I go back and I look at my schedule and see like, okay, what's left to check things off of the to-do list? Like there's like 30 minutes, you know? There's like maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour if I'm lucky. So you got to, when you have those 30 minutes, you got to know what's on the agenda and go right to it. And what if you have this really crazy, awesome day where it's like you have that day where you just flown right through your list and the day is going so good? Well, guess what? If you really want to do more, you can go to your must be done this week list and cross something off there. Or you know what else you could do? You could go enjoy one of the things that are your priorities that's not on your to-do list, right? That's when you have the permission. You're like, I just got free time. I'm going to go enjoy myself. Hello. It's a possibility, right? We can do those things. We can not be productive all the time. So in order to feel great about what we're doing, it's nice to know that we've at least checked those things off. And guys, I'm going to tell you this. Why do you also write them down? I love this. Literally, when you check things off of the to-do list, you release dopamine in your brain. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. There's a chemical release in your brain that is dopamine, that is that happy, feel good, makes you feel good chemical in your body when you cross something off of a to-do list. So even if you're going to do it anyway, literally write it down, because it's going to make you feel so much better when you're able to take it off your list, right? Just to be able to do that. Okay, I did leave out a step though, guys. I left out a step between setting your priorities and making your to-do list. What did I forget? You got to set your goals. What's even goes on the to-do list, right? What are you even striving for? What are you working towards? What are you doing? You got to know what your goals are. And have you ever heard the saying that a goal is just a wish until you write it down? It's just a daydream until you write it down. So when I do my whole Shalene Johnson thing I do every Sunday, first I write down my priorities. The next thing you do is you write down your list of goals. 10. Don't go more than 10. Hopefully you can get to 10. And you know what, guys? Out of that 10, probably 5 of them are going to be really easy to write down. And the rest of them you might have to think about a bit. And all these goals, remember, guys, it's not all about like work, right? I mean, if you looked at my goals list that I wrote this morning, like it's all about accountability too, right? My number one goal every week that I write down is that I go on a date with Jacob at least once a month. And 6 of those out of a year are naked date nights. I mean, honestly, like those, like I prioritize this stuff, right? And I write this stuff down. Another one is on my, I go plug into my spiritual community and go dance or practice yoga just for me at least once a month. You know, so all those things. But then I also have on my goals list that this year, before the end of the year, I want to help 10 coaches in my organization become Emerald. I want to help 3 new people become Diamond this year. You know, those are the things that are on my list. So as you go and you look at your goals, there's probably one that what Shalene calls your push goal. And it is the one goal that's on your list. If you accomplish that one goal, it will help make the other ones easier. Okay? So say, for example, there is nothing on my list, guys, that's going to make date night with Jacob easier, really. Well, maybe finance. So yeah, some of the money stuff is going to make the date night easier. Okay? Let's be real. Usually, your push goal is financially related. Not always. Okay? But it's usually financially related because usually the goals that we have that have nothing to do with our finances would be so much easier if we had the time and the funds to do it. Right? Time is the only resource that we have that we can't buy. And but I guess in essence we kind of can, because if you make a lot of money, you can buy time off and so on. But I mean, your time and your resources have to be supported in some way. So after you make your list of your goals, you identify what your push goal is. And generally speaking, your to-do list are 3 things moving you closer to achieving that push goal. Because once you know you've achieved that goal, then all the other ones are going to be a little bit more possible. So I don't want us to just get off the phone leaving you with that. So I'm literally want you all to take pen to paper. I'm going to watch my clock for 2 minutes, and I want you to write down some goals. Can you hear kitty purring? Okay, it's been 2 minutes. So out of all those that you see on your list, and I know you probably didn't have time to write down 10, but what you see on your list right there, do you see any? Are there any that pop out to you that you think if I were to achieve that, it would make some other things in my life a little bit easier? I'm going to take Sarah, and this is a small group tonight, so I'm going to take Sarah and Brett off mute. Heather's already off mute. I'm just curious to know, ladies, are you clear about what the push goal is? And if you are, do you think you can identify what yours would be? And guys, this doesn't have to be Beachbody related. This is your life. It's not, I realize Beachbody is a part of your life, but it's not your life. So anybody want to speak up and share anything? Brett, do you have anything?
Yeah, it's kind of, but I didn't writing it. I think my big goal is to simplify my life. And so there's a lot of little goals within that we get to, I think, kind of emotional freedom is where I am. And, so money and paychecks is one of them, and that kind of helps, getting to bed early. I say early, or midnight is one of my goals. But my push goal is
what's your push goal? You cut out again. You cut out for a second.
Sorry. So it's just kind of emotional for me. It's just to simplify. I think in that's probably partially work related, and so.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I love hearing it. So what about you, Heather?
I am actually having problems determining my push goal.
Okay. Do you see anything on there? What's on your list right now?
Well, I was having a problem, I listed out my 3 priorities, and I was actually having a problem creating goals because I felt like my 3 priorities were my goals.
So what are your priorities?
So I was getting confused there. Well, so my priority is family. I need to be more engaged, unplugged, and loving with my family because I have such limited time with them trying to work full time and do this. And then, but I didn't know, that's my goal. So it's like my goal and my priority.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. So first of all, your action statement to your goal, you say it in like future tense, not future tense, like present tense, like you're already doing it. Okay. So I am, have you ever heard, like I am is the most powerful statement you can say. So say I am, and then what your wish is, have that be after I am. So I am unplugged so much time in order to give my family so much of my undivided attention. And so that is a priority of yours, but that can also be on your goal list. I mean, mine is to be engaged,
sure, okay,
and to do the health and well-being of my family, but that's why date nights are on there. That's why game nights with my boys are on there. That's why those things are on there. So that makes sense. I mean, what else is on your goal list?
I had, a big priority was my health. Needing to eat well, exercise, and take care of my body so I'm around for my daughter and family, since my mom passed away. So again, that's a priority, but that's a goal too. It's kind of all intermingled here.
Yeah. So those right there. So do you have, what's your third priority?
My third priority is actually it's actually religious. So my priority number 2, which I felt bad about writing it, is God, and I thought maybe that should have been 1. But I need to spend more time with Him daily and grow in my relationship, and then help in my family's relationship with it. It's important for Sophie to have a relationship with Him, and we need more than just her and I saying prayers and things like that. So my goal is to get us back into church. Okay.
So based on everything that you just said right there, I mean, I'm sure you probably have other goals that aren't just related around there, but I would say probably everything that you just said right there, probably prioritizing unplugged time. I mean, because you're not going to be able to get that relationship with God and Sophie and give those time to your kids and your family and to your health if you don't spend some time away from social media or from your phone or whatever. Yep. Now, I mean, none of those are financial related, which really don't aren't usually with your push goal, but maybe it is for you. Maybe it is for you. But just, I want to be clear though, your priorities need to have an action statement, not what you hope to achieve, but pretend like you've already achieved it, right? It's just this thing about psychology. It's just how it works in the brain. Pretend like you've already achieved it, and then write your goal list of what you feel like you would need to do to achieve it. And I'm really glad you said that you felt like God should have been first, but you wrote your family first. That's one thing that Shalene really pushes, is never write down what you think should be your priorities. Put down what's like authentic for you in your heart of what they should be, you know? And so I like it. So what about you, Sarah?
I guess my push goal would be like getting my career going, because I'm not really in the career field that I want to. So one of those things or goals, I guess, would be to first start like scheduling my time and sticking to it, and updating my resume, and then like applying to jobs, you know, researching graduate schools. Because I think once I get that, the actual job or in the field, and I'll be a lot happier and just relax, and then I can start focusing on other secondary things like Beachbody or painting or, you know, crocheting or doing other things besides always just worrying about, oh, I should be in the field, you know, that I went to school for.
So maybe maybe your push goal is, so ultimately your push goal then would be getting into the career path that you're wanting to be in, and then therefore your to-do list is going to be all the little tasks that it will take to get you there, which are going to be time blocking, doing your research, doing your resume, all of those things. So all of that is what goes on the master brain dump on the to be done soon. And then you break it down into chunks of what would have to happen first. Well, you have to schedule your time first.
Excuse me.
So getting your schedule time blocked, bless you. Yeah, getting your schedule time blocked would be like number one. And then the next thing that would be on the list after that is maybe it's doing your research. I don't know. I mean, only you know that based on, you know, what you have done and so on. But yeah, do any of you guys have any questions on this system of prioritizing?
I struggle a little bit because, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, you cut in and out, but I think I'm okay right now.
So I struggle a little with my priority and conflicting. So one of my priorities is to in my social life, my friends, my family in a meaningful way. But I feel like I'm kind of at odds with that, because socially connecting with family and friends, a lot of time over food or going out, and that makes it challenging for me to stick with my fitness and my health and wellness goals, because I feel like I should be doing that kind of instead. And so I know the healthy, beautiful balance would be to find the melding of the two and do all those things with my friends, but I don't have all, they're not on that page. So I kind of struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah, I understand. And actually, Shalene even talks about that in her 30-day push. She tells a story of, because, you know, she's a fitness person, and one of her old area promotion directors, it was her goal, like it was one of her priorities to have an active social life. But it was also one of her priorities to be a certain number of body fat. And like exactly what you're just saying. She's like, she felt like she could not go out and be social because that was putting her other goal at risk. But then what Shalene came back and asked is to contemplate and evaluate, and I'm not saying this helps in your situation, but of why your goals are what they are. So say, for example, like she really had to dig in with that area promotions director who worked for her and be like, why do you feel like your body fat has to, and it was like an ungodly, ridiculously low body fat, right?
Right.
Like, why do you have to feel like it has to be that low whenever it impinds on this other goal that's so much more important to you? So I'm not saying that that helps you particularly, but maybe start to analyze truly, why is it that this is my priority, and why have I prioritized it in the way that I have? And then maybe you go through and you analyze, is there any way to find a common ground between them? I mean, can you express to your friends and family, I love you and I want to spend more time with you, but going out and partying is just really not fitting my lifestyle anymore. Could we go get a pedicure instead together?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, trying to be creative. Like, I don't know, but I understand it's challenging. It's challenging.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're past time. I love you guys so much. Thank you for plugging in. Thank you for your presence. I love your energy. Heather, do you have like 1 extra minute to stay on the phone and talk with me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, this is about a local thing. The local thing. Heather's offered to use her house possibly for local gatherings, and so I want to ask her a question about that. We'll see. Thank you guys so much. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.